At thousands of meters above the ground, there is almost nowhere to hide. High above the clouds, inside the pressurized skin of an airliner, the world feels silent, motionless, and secure. But on January 26, 1972, high over the frozen landscape of northern Czechoslovakia, routine shattered in a single fraction of a second. This is the story of Vesna Vulović, a 22-year-old Yugoslav flight attendant who entered history by surviving what logic says no human ever should. Her day began like any other on the tarmac in Copenhagen. JAT Flight 367 was bound for Belgrade with a stopover in Zagreb. Vesna wasn't even originally scheduled to work this leg. An administrative mix-up had placed her on the roster instead of another stewardess with the same name. Unaware of the twist of fate already in motion, she boarded the McDonnell Douglas DC-9, greeted the passengers, and went about her routine, carrying out standard cabin duties as the twin jet climbed into the cold winter sky. Cruising smoothly at 33,000 feet, the cockpit was calm, the flight entirely normal. Then, an explosion ripped through the forward baggage compartment, tearing the aircraft apart in mid-air. Within seconds, the cabin depressurized and broke into pieces, throwing structural fragments and luggage out into the freezing atmospheric void thousands of meters above the Earth. What followed was a terrifying, violent descent. Trapped inside a severed section of the rear fuselage, pinned by a food cart and structural debris, Vesna fell through the freezing air. Below, the snowy forests and rolling hills of Srbská Kamenice rushed upward to meet the falling wreckage. The fuselage tore through heavy, snow-covered pine branches before slamming into the deep snow on a sloping hillside, absorbing just enough impact energy to prevent complete pulverization. Then came an eerie silence over the snow-covered forest. Villagers rushed toward the rising mist of the crash site, expecting no survivors from such catastrophe. But among the wreckage, Bruno Honky, a former medic during World War II, heard a faint sound. Pushing through the debris, he discovered Vesna, trapped, unconscious, and critically injured, but miraculously breathing. Honky provided immediate, life-saving first aid in the freezing cold until emergency crews could navigate the deep snow. Rushed to the hospital, Vesna's condition was critical: a fractured skull, 2 broken legs, crushed vertebrae, and temporary paralysis. For days, she remained in a coma, her survival hanging by a thread. Yet through sheer physical resilience and months of intensive medical care, she began an unbelievable recovery. Step by step, she regained movement, learned to walk again, and defied every medical expectation. News of her survival reverberated across the globe. She became an international symbol of human resilience, earning a place in the Guinness Book of World Records for surviving the highest fall without a parachute, a record that stands to this day. Yet the question remained: how did anyone survive a fall from over 10,000 meters? Investigators pointed to a rare combination of physical factors: being trapped in the tail section, jammed securely by the food cart, landing on a steep snowy slope lined with flexible pine trees, and a sudden drop in her blood pressure that prevented her heart from bursting upon impact. Vesna Vulović lived out the rest of her life with humility, viewing her survival not as a miracle of her own making, but as an extraordinary quirk of probability and human spirit. A quiet reminder that even against impossible odds, truth can be stranger than fiction.
Please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Oh, and thank you for getting to the end of the story.